Welcome back. Today we're going to do a tour release of the F-14 Tomcat. Let's get started. Alright, so this is the F-14 Tomcat, and we are releasing the Jolly Roger today. And that's because we want to make sure that it's working properly before we put all the other skins on it. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that, just so you know what the process is, if you want to make your own skin or something like that. And yeah, so when you first spawn this, you have the little cart, and it's hooked up, and we have the power hooked up, and we have the air hooked up. So if we jump inside, we're going to go ahead and jump in the front, and you're going to see that nothing is powered on, and we've got red lights here, and we got a blinking red light there. Alright, so this little guy is our chief, and our chief is an invisible man out there somewhere that hooks up, actually it's already hooked up, but turns on our power and our air. So if we try to turn on a system, you'll see we have a system error because there's no power or air hooked up to keep the systems cooled and powered. So we're going to turn that off, and we're going to go ahead and tell this guy right here to turn on the power. You get a nice little power light there, and turn on the air to keep the systems cool to start them up. Alright, so now we can turn this on, and we've got power to all these systems, and we're good to go. No longer red over here, so we can actually start the engines. But what I want to show you, oh, this is by Markers, by the way. Thank you, Markers, for making this. He did it like in 2 days. But before we get started with the rest of this cockpit, what I want to show you is the Backseat RIO and what it looks like. All right, let's jump back there. All right, so this is more of a role-playing plane than a simulation. There's not really any sophisticated simulation of hydraulics or anything crazy like that. Nope, nope, nope. This is just a fun little plane that we can play with our friends online, and it's got some cool screens. All right, so let me go ahead and show you what I put in back for the RIO to keep himself entertained. We have knots, we have altitude, we have the RPM sync, which is handy for when you start a plane to see if the engines are like synced up, because if not, and the pilot starts going, you'll go left really hard or right really hard because only one engine's on. We've got the communication, we have the power on, and the TID here. So we have a radar system. I'll get a look at that again. We have the mute radar detection, which is if you're being pinged by a radar, this little red light will start blinking and buzzing. We have the custom speed set that you can do for the pilot. So if you want number 3 to be a custom speed, you can go ahead and set it right here. On the right side, we have the generator status and the battery if it's charging, and the battery's current charge, which is dropping pretty quickly. We have to charge that up pretty quick with all these screens on. So next up, we have the flare and chaff computer, where you can program, you want two chaff and 2 flare to be shot out, and you can set the time here, the timing, I guess. So we'll put like 2 seconds, and flare dispenser 2 seconds, and then I'll hit OK. And so what we can do is we can launch the program by clicking up here or up there for the flares, or we can launch a single one by using this button. We also have the buttons here and here for the program and singles, and then that's it, I think, and then that's just a transponder. And then for the radar, we have the ability to set the range, the button here, and then we have the mode, and that will just change your mode looking there. Alright, next up we have this little button over here, which changes to the camera, which is supposed to be lantern, but it's not because the camera's too big. The new gimbal camera would be perfect, but it's just way too big. So we don't have an actual lantern system, so we'll go back to radar. Okay, that is it for back here. Let's go back to the pilot seat. So the pilot seat has some fun little things here that you can play with. We've got, of course, the engine turning on thingamabob here, and we've got parking brakes, which we should probably turn on, and we've got the refueling probe. And I'll just push that so you can see what that looks like. It's right there. It comes out and turns on the light. There we go. Cool. All right, close that off. Okay, and on the right side, we have a mic toggle, cockpit lighting, a arrestor hook, which is back here in the back, and we have the flight assist on and off. And that's usually used for low speeds because it'll keep the nose up. All right, so what else do I have here? We have a AOA, which doesn't really work. It's really just a pitch indicator. I think Rowan's working on something that might be cool. So maybe we'll steal that. I mean, borrow that. No, RO still? I don't know. Maybe we'll just put it in here. And then down here we have the throttle settings. In the middle we have our selection of external tanks, bottom rack, and wing racks. And then this is our arming, which number 4 is used to fire this or drop the tanks. All right, let's turn that off for a second. This is our wing sweep control, and currently it's blinking red because we are in oversweep. So as you can see, the wings are a little bit farther back than they should be, and that's because it's for storing the plane on the carrier. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit auto, and that's just going to sweep them forward. There you go. And while I'm waiting for that, we might as well go ahead and start an engine up. So the way you start the Tomcat engine is you go to the crank and go to the right. You're going to wait for a second as it spools up, and then we're going to get a green light right there. All right, we got a green light, and then we want to turn on the generators right there, and we don't have to touch anything else right there. Okay, so that engine is in the green, and what we do is we touch the middle of the throttle, and that's going to go ahead and start up that engine, and then the crank will return to the middle, and you're going to see that it's at 50 as it starts up the engine, and that's just to get it up to idle speed. So we can go ahead and click the left crank, and then that's going to wait, and then it will turn green, and then that's up to 50, and the original one is set to 30, which is the idle speed. So right now we're in idle, we're not moving, we have the brakes on, and we're doing really well right now. Okay, so our wings are swept. Just to show you this while we're waiting, we could go into manual, and we could set this to, I don't know, 40, and you'll see that we can manually set our sweep. If we want to go back and do an oversweep, we can go ahead and click right down at the very bottom, and that's going to take it back. And then of course this light turns green, and we can hit oversweep. So there we go. All right, but we don't want oversweep, we want auto, so we're going to set that to auto. Okay, I turn those off. Next up, we can go ahead and just release this stuff here. We don't need the chief to have his power and water anymore, and we're good to go. Let's go ahead and shut the canopy, and what we can do is just release the brakes, and we'll start rolling pretty easily. The left and right arrow are going to be our front wheel. All right, it's worth noting the little flaps there on the left and right of the wing are called spoilers. So the Tomcat actually had quite a few of these, but I just put one set just to get it, you know, a little effect. All right, let's line up. Number 6 is our wheel brakes. So if we hold down number 6, we've got our wheel brakes. All right, let's go ahead and put the brakes on real quick again before we take off. All right, so before we take off, there's a few things I want to show you. First off, we have our fuel display here. Right now it says 0B, and that means we don't have it set up for bingo fuel. So if we go ahead and hit the keypad here, we're going to set it to 1,000 pounds. And then you'll say 1,000B is 1,000 bingo. And then we can go ahead and go back to the fuel display and see that we have 15,000 pounds. These are our drop tanks, are both full, and these are our left and right tanks. All right, that's cool. We have our knots and our altitude, which can also be swapped by clicking on it to the different screens. We also have our landing gear here. Landing gear is currently down. This is our air brake setting. If I hit number 5, the air brake is partial. If I hit number 5 again, that's the air brake full. Hit number 5 again, and it's in. All right, I think that is it for this, right? Yeah, we've got our lights, anti-collision, which are on the tail there. We have our position lights, which are on the wings. And then we have our formation lights, formation lights. Formation lights, which are the green in front and on the sides. And of course we have our taxi light, which is down there. All right, so let's turn off the taxi light. Okay, so that is it. I think we're ready to go. Oh, no, wait. Did I forget someone? All right, so let's go ahead and take off because our batteries are getting low. So we're going to go ahead and throttle up. We're going to hit number 3. And that is a preset that is already set up for, you know, a decent amount of speed without going into afterburner mode. And it's just going to go ahead and speed up. And there we go. Ta-da! We're up. Okay. But I have presets for the seat. So I have number 1 is landing. You usually want to turn on the assist on for that. And then I also have throttle cruise, which is number 2, which is a slower speed. Probably, I think that is like the minimum speed you can go without the battery going dead. So number 2, the battery will charge. You can see, where's it at? There's the battery level. So it should be charging. Yeah, it is. So that is number 2. We could turn on the assist right here if we want. And what we can also do is put up the landing gear. So you just click this, boop, and our landing gear will go up, and it will close. Now, depending on your fuel status, you may have to hit Alt and trim out the flight. So it will either want to like go up a lot or go down a lot, depending on how much fuel is in the plane and the wing position, I think. So you might want to watch that, but for the most part, it flies pretty nicely. What else do we have here? We've got our RPMs, our exhaust, and our fuel flow. And of course we have our selection of bombs and our drop tanks. And there's our drop tanks right there. So another thing I should probably mention is we have this little lock here. And you can go ahead and you can go down or up. And this is the increment, so you could update this to go a little bit higher, a little bit faster, or a little bit slower, going up and down. And these are locked together, so it moves the throttles up and down together. So let's talk about the preset throttles. If you can see on the right side there of the pilot seat screen, number 1 is going to be the minimum amount of speed you can do and still stay above the ground without crashing. Number 2 is cruise, which is going to charge your batteries. So number 1 does not charge the batteries. If you're going for a landing, use number 1, but it won't charge the batteries, so make sure your batteries are pretty charged. Number 3 is the custom setting. It's defaulted at, I think, 50% throttle, but in the back seat, I showed you, you can go ahead and the RIO can select whatever he wants to for that speed for number 3. So it's just a fun little thing I added for the RIO to do, just to mess with the pilot, I guess. What else do we have? I think that's it. All right, so let's head back to the landing zone, because I'm going to go ahead and try to land this, because I want to show you that this one I can actually kind of land. Maybe. We'll find out. I think the only thing we have left here to show you is the cockpit lighting, which if we go to the time period, you can see that as it gets dark, the cockpit gets dark. And the reason for that is because these are monitors, they're very bright all the time, but I wanted them to look like they were panels, so at nighttime they get dark. So if we go ahead and turn on the cockpit lighting, you can see we get a nice red glow everywhere, which is kind of cool looking, I think. Alright, let's go ahead and turn that off and go back to daylight. Oh, let's see what it looks like from outside. That's the outside. Looks nice. Alright, so as you can see, the wings are out. So if we just waste a little fuel here, we can use the arrow keys to speed up. And then we can just go super fast. Now this burns a lot of fuel, especially because the afterburners are on, but it flies relatively nice. It's starting to rise a little bit, so we can just trim that out. There we go. So, ta-da! F-14. Oh, this one is the F-14A, by the way, so it has the glove vanes. You see right there? So those go out when you go fast. But, yeah, that's it. I think we're good here. All right, let's go ahead and hit number 3, and that's going to be our preset of 50. We're just going to slow down. Let me just go ahead and readjust that. All right, so before I release this, I want to go ahead and prove that maybe I can land this thing. All right, so there is our landing pad. And let's go ahead and get our wheels down. Oops, what am I doing here? I'm hitting number 1. Okay, number 1 is going to slow us down to the minimum speed that we can land. So there we go. And we're going to come in here and hopefully impress you for once. All right. Not too low, not too low. Not too low. Not too low. Not too low, not too low. I can do this. I can do this. Ready? Ready? Is that too low? No. There we go. Oh, I'm going to run out of runway. Air brakes. There we go. Haha! I actually did it. Okay. Alright, this video seems... Uh-oh. I forgot to show you something. Let's go back up. How to program this thing up. So, if we go ahead and we hit 2... and 2, and then let's go ahead and put this to 2 seconds, and put this to, I don't know, 4 seconds. No, 3 seconds. 3 seconds, yeah. Okay, so that's set up. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in the air, and I'm going to show you can activate these programs right here. But I didn't get to show you that because I forgot. So let's get up in the air real quick. All right, so let's jump in the back here without jumping off the plane, I hope. All right, there we go. Let's go to nighttime, just for fun. Okay. So let's go ahead and hit the program. Chaff, and that one. And there you can see it's doing it every 2 seconds and every 3 seconds. There you go. That's what I forgot to show you. Isn't that pretty? It's like fireworks. Oh. Alright, well that's it for today. This is kind of a rushed video because I'm trying to get a big announcement video ready for today. So go ahead, download this plane in the description below. Have fun. You're welcome to leave some feedback. I know there's some problems with it, but I really want to get this out to you. And after we ironed out some of the bugs, we'll go ahead and release the other skins, which I forgot to show you. Let me show you those real quick. So the one last thing I wanted to show you before we go is that the skins are made this way. They're all cleaned out of components, and you can see there's no parts here. We do have the pivots here and stuff like that, but it's empty. And so what I can do is I can have all my different skins ready to go, and then I go ahead and copy and paste this onto the F-14 finished body, and then I can go ahead and update all of the planes relatively easy with just some minor painting here and there that I need to do, because you know, the planes are slightly different colors. But I just want to show you this. So if you want to make a skin, I can release this as a blank template, and then you can make your own skins for it if you want. So let me know in the comments below if you want the skin template, if that's a good idea, and I'll do that. All right, I think that's it. All right, that's it for today. If you haven't done so, you can go ahead and click the bell so it goes ding dong when I upload a new video. And if you have subscribed, please consider doing so. And I will see you shortly, hopefully, with an announcement video coming up next. Bye.